Are we live yet? Okay. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you all to the meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission. Today is Tuesday, August 1st, 2023, and I would read the notice. Remote participation is allowed in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2021, signed into law by Governor Baker on February 12th, 2022, suspending provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, as extended by Section 20 of Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, and further extended by final compromise bill enacted by the House and Senate on March 23rd, 2023, and signed by Governor Maura Healey on March 29th, 2023. In the event that we are unable to do so on a matter not requiring a public hearing, we will post on the City of Peabody website an audio or video recording, transcripts, or other comprehensive recording as soon as possible after the meeting. Tonight, present on the commission for tonight's meeting is myself, Michael Rizzo, I'm Vice Chairman, Michael Valdi, Secretary, Bruce Comack, Commissioner, and Arthur Athis, Commissioner. Not present this evening is Stu Lazarus, I'm sitting in for him, Amanda Green, Commissioner, and Rita Marie are unable to attend this evening. So our hearing today is a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability signed by Ty and Bond, Julia Novetny for the City of Peabody, Will Pollitt, Acting Director of DPS. The project consists of the rehabilitation of pavement and sidewalks along a portion of Central Street, Railroad Ave, Walnut Street, Hardy Street, and Monroe Court in the City of Peabody. The road will be improved to include a bicycle lane in each direction, an on-street parking lane along the westerly side of the Central Street. Concrete sidewalks will be constructed to include ADA compliant pedestrian curb ramps. Drainage improvements and sign upgradings will also be constructed. The proposed project will serve to improve safety and accessibility in this area. The property is known as a portion of Central Street, Railroad Ave, Walnut Street, Hardy Street, and Monroe Court, map in the City of Peabody. The petitioner. I will.
Hey, Mike, is it all right to start?
Yes.
Great. So for the record, William Pollitt, Director of Department of Public Services. This evening, we have Daniel Murphy of Ty and Bond and also Julia of Ty and Bond with us. Maybe joining as Chris Surratt. I'm not sure if he'll be here or not, also of Ty and Bond. I just wanted to thank the commission. I know you usually don't meet on Tuesday nights. We really do appreciate taking the opportunity to make this presentation in front of you this evening. Hopefully it won't be too time consuming. We'll let you back to what you were hoping to do this evening. But I did want to thank everyone. This is one of the last items we need to complete before Mass DOT will advertise this $20 million plus project for the revitalization of Central Street. And so with that, I will hand it off to either Daniel or Julia. I'm not sure who's presenting first from Ty and Bond, but they'll walk you through the RDA.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Julia Novotny, Ty and Bond. Am I able to share my screen?
Give me a second. Hold on. Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you.
You should have the ability now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, let's see if I can share the right screen here. There's too many screens open. Okay. Can you see this all right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. So as was mentioned, this project is a rehabilitation project of Central Street in Peabody. And I'll just give an overview of the project. So the proposed work consists of the reconstruction of the roadway and sidewalks between the Railroad Ave intersection with Central Street up to the Endicott Street intersection with Central Street. The improvements will include a adding a bike lane and intermittent on-street parking lanes. Sidewalks will be reconstructed to include vertical curb ramps or vertical curb sidewalks and ADA compliant pedestrian curb ramps. Also proposed are drainage improvements, including the replacement of subsurface utilities that are currently in place and the resetting of catch basins. And then also traffic signal upgrades and replacements, and any existing landscaping that exists now would be either preserved or otherwise enhanced throughout the project area. So the work proposed will be constructed with construction equipment mobilized in the roadway, including an excavator and dump truck. Excavated materials will be placed in dump trucks for offsite processing, and it should be noted that the work is limited to the existing footprint of the roadway, and there's no proposed expansion of the width of the roadway. So it's really just within the current existing right of way. So in the same vein, the limits of work consist of approximately 338,586 square feet over the entire project area, which is the roadway and the sidewalks, as well as a portion of this work will be within bordering land subject to flooding, as well as the locally regulated 100-foot buffer zone to BLSF. So those impacts, the temporary impacts, work out to about 58,784 square feet of temporary impacts to BLSF and about 7,500 square feet of impacts to the buffer zone, the locally regulated buffer zone. BLSF in this area is comprised of the roadway, residential and commercial development, and other impervious areas. And there aren't any proposed changes in grades or any proposed fill within BLSF for the proposed project. Any increase in elevation would be really negligible due to the repaving of the roadway and reconstruction of the sidewalks. The area will be restored to previously existing grades upon the completion of construction. And as I mentioned, the work will only be conducted in these previously disturbed areas. Construction period best management practices will be used throughout the area in jurisdiction. This will primarily include catch basin silt sack inserts along the corridor of the roadway. And the BMPs will be inspected and kept in good working order upon storm events. They will be repaired as necessary by the contractor. The BMPs will remain in place until final stabilization to ensure that sediments do not migrate off the project site. And since there will be some trench work and excavation within the roadway, depending on the groundwater levels during the time of construction, trench dewatering may be necessary, and in that case, dewatering water will be passed through sediment bags, and it will be discharged in stable areas of the right-of-way and then discharged into those catch basins with the silt sack inserts. And then I just have you have this in your RDA package, but I have a screenshot of the third figure that we submitted that shows the location of the work relative to bordering land subject to flooding and the 100-foot buffer zone. So on the south part here of the project, from the start of the project at Central Street intersection with Railroad Avenue up to about Monroe Court, that is where BLSF is within the extent of the project area. And the remaining portion of the project extends further north, but this is the area that's within jurisdiction. So I think that's all I have for now, but are there any initial questions?
So the rehabilitation of the roadway, are you doing full depth reconstruction or is it reclaim?
I believe it's a full reconstruction on rehabilitation, but I could pass it to William if it's more of a question for him.
Yeah, Mike, that's going to be full base reconstruction.
Okay. So the there won't be, or will there be any storage of any of the spoils? Would that all be taken off site?
Um,
We don't have to worry about storing materials.
so that's a great question. I think we could probably, I'm not sure what we can specify because it's Mass DOT's writing up the contracts, but I think if I'm not mistaken, Julia just implied that everything would be trucked off site. So I think
Okay.
hopefully we could probably get that as a condition that anything within your jurisdiction could not be stockpiled. It looks like
Yeah,
Daniel just unmuted. So, but I think a condition, Daniel, does that sound correct that they could offer a condition that we could put in the contract to say no stockpiling of soils within their jurisdiction?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe the spec does require them to coordinate with the city to identify staging areas.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know if there's
In
much
addition.
room within the right of way to store materials anyways.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Okay, and I noticed you're not going to change the profile, which is good. What kind of drainage improvements are you putting a new trunk line in, or is it just the rebuilding of the catch basins?
New trunk line. So right now, the what's in there now is sort of like a granite culvert from, I don't know, 1800s. So
Okay.
we're replacing that.
All right. And and I think it was mentioned you were doing some utility work also.
Yes. So National Grid has already come through. We're doing drainage and we're replacing the water main as well.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, that's the only questions I really had. I didn't see any issues.
I have a couple of questions. How long is this project going to take?
Well, that's a great question. It's a bit of a moving target. So just to kind of give you some idea, we are just secured all the easements for the part of the project. And the option we had for temporary easements was either 3 years or 5 years. Now, granted, we've secured the easements at this point, and this construction project probably won't really kickstart until the spring. But I would suspect from all the way through, it would be just over 3 years, would be my guess. We hope to have a contractor on late fall, early winter. Not knowing who the contractor is, it's hard to say if they're going to go out and start doing some test pits and see what's going on for utilities, or if they want to take on some sort of work prior to the spring. But we suspect the project would really kick off spring of 2024 and probably have, by the time they paint the road and get everything all done, it could be up to 3 years.
Are you going to be starting in the southern section of Central Street and moving towards 114, or is it going to be all,
Sure.
Intermittent?
That's a great question. And from what I understand, Mass DOT will not put in the contract how the contractor is to lay out the project. That will be dependent upon the contractor, which has not been selected yet.
Well, I know this project has been a long time in the works, and it's nice to see it finally on paper and before us and taking official vote. So it's good to see. Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, we definitely thank the commission members for being here this evening, because this is one of the, as you had said, this project has been a long time coming. And this is the final item before advertising.
Through the chair, I only have one question. It is, because it might be more, it's going to be one mell of a hess down there. Can we specify that we want to get to Mass DOT that we would like to get the downtown done first, or we can't do that?
Daniel, you want to weigh in on that? I don't think, I said before, I think Mass DOT is very leery of telling a contractor means and methods and how to proceed. So I think it's to protect themselves from change orders and items
that's
like
correct.
that. So they are going to rely on the contractors' decision making on what section be done first, and I think that simply just comes down to they don't want to be caught in change orders because they told the contractor to go from A to Z, and if there's an issue, Mass DOT is going to be on the hook, and then ultimately, potentially, depending on the amount of change orders, then the city would have to be involved in payment as well.
There will be an opportunity for the town to speak at the pre-construction conference where the contractor, Mass DOT, and the town would be together at a meeting, at which time they will actually discuss these matters, and the town could actually, you can bring it up and just suggest if you felt it might be helpful, but at least you have an opportunity to discuss it at the pre-construction conference with the contractor.
And that's correct. And we would invite the agent, Lucia Del Negro, to attend that as well.
Yeah. Is it going to be, you're doing some landscaping association with this project? Like plantings or trees?
Yes. Yep. There's some tree, not an extensive amount, but there's some tree plantings and there's some landscaping that's going to take place up at Wilson Square.
Okay.
And those items have been taken a look at by Jen Davis, the director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, and she signed off on the planting plan and has agreed to maintain it.
Now, all this new sidewalks going to be cement concrete?
They will be.
Okay. And granite curb?
Yes.
Might there be a cross section for us to look at that? It sounds to me a little bit much that all this work will be within the existing right of way, and some of it is supposed to sidewalks and bike lanes and other such things. Is there a cross section that we could look at that shows?
Julie, if you want to flip forward 2 sheets.
I did not
Okay.
put the drawings in here, but I can pull them up real quick. We do have cross section or profile
I have
views.
them ready if you wanted to.
Okay, yep, that works.
Want me to share?
Yeah.
And to answer the question, yeah, everything's going to be within the right of way because these easements that we were taking are on the backside of the right of way, but they're 95% of them are all temporary. There's a couple permanent easements due to infrastructure, but it's pretty tight out there. I mean, some of these places, the back of sidewalk is almost the front of people's houses.
Yeah. So here you can see Railroad Avenue on the left side of the screen and the 100-foot buffer on the right in the cyan color. You can kind of see the existing curb line in gray. And there are some areas where we're pulling curb back just a little bit and creating parking lanes and a bunch of areas where the curb's coming out a little bit to create curb extensions and improve sidewalk condition. But basically we're holding back a sidewalk on both sides of the road for the most part. As far as cross sections go, if you'd prefer to see that.
Well, that's enough. That's
okay.
That's what I was kind of looking at, kind of like that kind of detail. And so the
It'll be one lane in each direction.
Yeah, it'll be one lane in each direction, and part of the funding source requires the bike lanes, so there will be bike lanes as well.
Are they going to be like that shared?
I believe it. No,
Dedicated?
they're all dedicated.
Yeah.
They're not protected. There wasn't enough room to do protected bike lanes, but they're all dedicated bike lanes.
Okay.
It gets off the road with, I think, a shared path when you get up. It's out of jurisdiction, but up by Pulaski, I believe the bike lane to go up Pulaski Street, they have to enter into a shared wider path with the pedestrians, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but
it's a bike lane on one side.
Yeah.
One side. Okay, not both sides.
No, both sides.
Well, both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Yeah,
Very
the
good.
section varies, you know, as Will mentioned, in one area, there's a shared use path on one side of the road.
And this is as the previous kind of ortho showed it. This work does not include where the roadway is 2 lanes, so it's all portion of Central Street where there's one lane, or it doesn't touch 114 basically, right? Or it is portion of 114, but not the northern section going towards the mall. So that's where it's 2 lanes and.
Correct. It stops at the bridge. So
Stops at
the
the
railroad bridge. Yeah, it'll stop right at the railroad bridge.
You mentioned the culvert. Where's that culvert being replaced?
So there's a culvert that goes down Central Street as part of the drainage that's being replaced because the culvert is granite, and so they'll be replaced with it.
The culvert runs parallel with Central Street?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and then the catch basins tie into it.
I see.
Does anybody else have any questions from the commission?
It's a lot of engineering.
It's a very big project. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody from the public here tonight that wants to speak on this matter?
There is a person named Ellen. I am going to unmute her and allow her to speak. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello? Okay, you can hear me?
Yes.
I just have a couple of easy questions. The first one is about the upgrade of the
Ellen,
traffic
can you just,
signal.
Ellen, we just need your
Yes?
full name and address, please.
Sure, it's Ellen Dufour, Dufour. And I'm at 8 Walnut Street, Unit 405.
And what was your question?
Okay, I actually have 2 questions. The first one is in reference to the traffic signals. Currently, the signal at the corner of Walnut Street, for example, if you were crossing from the Next Mex restaurant over to Bill and Bob's, that signal currently is not equipped for visually impaired people. It doesn't make that noise that you're supposed to hear. Is that going to be addressed with the traffic signal upgrades? We do have visually impaired people in this building who can't cross the street because they can't see the walk signal and they can't hear it.
I believe and can check that the audible pedestrian signals are a requirement.
Sorry, Ellen, I had to mute you because it's causing feedback, but I will unmute you once Daniel's done answering your question. I apologize for interrupting. I think it was you, Dan.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that audible pedestrian signals are a requirement of the project on pretty much any Mass DOT signal project. I can confirm that and let you know. I'm going to stop sharing so I can go dig through some other plans.
Ellen, if you want to speak again, please raise your hand. I just have to, it seems we're getting a lot of, I don't know if it's just me who's hearing that.
No, it's everyone.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and unmute Ellen unless there was a second part to that answer. That's it, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right. My second question is just quickly about the bike lanes. Are the bike lanes being added only to Central Street or to each of the streets that were mentioned in the letter we received? For example, are they being added onto Walnut Street?
No, basically the project goes from Walnut Street all the way up through Wilson Square, up Pulaski Street to Gardner. And the bike lanes are being added to Central Street itself. So Walnut Street is, sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Walnut Street, just the intersection of Walnut Street is part of the project, but Walnut Street itself is not part of the project. So there's no bike lanes being added to that street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else, Lucia, that wants to speak on this matter?
If anyone's in the audience that would like to speak, please raise your hand. I do not see any hands being raised as of yet, so
Okay, anybody in the commission which have any other questions? Seeing, oops, sorry.
Mike, through the chair, I jotted down some things as you guys were talking, that like for, potential conditions, if you guys want to add some conditions. All work must be done as stated in the project narrative. No grade changes and no stockpiling of soils inside Concom jurisdiction.
Mhm. Yeah. And work won't proceed until you've inspected all the BMPs. So if there's no other questions, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, that motion to close was made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Mr. Athos. Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, so the item is closed 4-0.
Okay, do I have a motion? I think this is the proper to issue a negative determination with conditions.
I'll make a motion to issue the negative determination with the conditions as previously mentioned by Lucia.
Okay. There's a second on that? Somebody want to second that motion?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
All right, there was a motion for a negative determination with the condition all work must be done as stated in narrative, no grade changes, no stockpiling of soils is allowed inside Concom jurisdiction, and erosion controls must be inspected before work can commence in jurisdictional areas. That was made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Mr. Comack. Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, so that determination passes 4-0.
Kiddo.
Mike,
Thank you
if I
very
may,
much for your time.
Thank you.
yes, just wanted to thank the commission members for taking their time out this evening.
Very good.
Good luck with the
Does
project.
someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
How about a motion to adjourn?
Second.
You make the motion, I need a second on the motion. Motion made by Bruce, second by
Second.
Arthur. All in favor?
I'm going to do a roll call just to be annoying. Roll call, Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
All right, the meeting adjourns at approximately 7:30. Thank you all for being here.
You've been